The biggest surprise on my team has actually come from my bench. My Bills defense, who would have thought they'd be better than the Seattle Seahawks defense? So they've almost tripled their score compared to the Seahawks. So if you can't tell, the Bills are going to be my starting defense from now on. My team's either going to be very good or very bad. It all depends on my wide receiving core and my running back core, which is very up and down week to week. And I never know what week they're going to actually play well. I think this is going to be a tough matchup. I feel like both teams have been playing at an equal level, both underperforming. But I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. The Arizona Cardinals haven't looked good, especially under Carson Palmer, who's also had a concussion problem. So we'll see, but I'm going to go in with the 49ers. I'm going to have to go with Alabama. They look very powerful throughout the season. I don't think Arkansas can contest with them. I'm going with the Tide. I'm going to have to go with the University of North Carolina. Go Heels. Their defense looks so outstanding this season, especially after a huge win against Florida State. I think they can make an even bigger impact in the ACC against Virginia Tech this week. Now, with Hurricane Matthew coming into town this season, I think the Hurricanes are going to beat Florida State. Florida State looks way too up and down this season. They haven't been consistent. I think Miami can prove a big point in this game and come out on top. It's a really hard one to pick. If Tennessee comes out on top, they'll be the only team that can contend against Alabama. But Texas A&M looks really good on defense and on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to have to go with Texas A&M. I think Trevor McKnight looks way too good, and I think they'll beat kind of almost inconsistent during games Volunteers team. This Red River rivalry, I have to go with Texas. Although they had been inconsistent, they have pulled off some wins. And I have to say, hook 'em, go Horns for friends in Texas. But I've watched Texas play, and I just think it's just going to be Texas.
Is that why?
Well, this is another tough college team matchup this week, but I'm going to have to go with Auburn on the road in their first road game. The offense looks really good after the last two games, and it looks like with Rhett Lashley's play calling, they might finally have their offense down at least well enough to go out in Mississippi State and win. My draft went pretty well. I picked the sleeper wide receiver, Sammy Watkins, because Sammy, as a Bills fan, Sammy's going to be electric this year, and as a backup quarterback with Tyrod Taylor, there's double points on the board that'll drive me to second place or to first. I'm going to pick Ole Miss because Chad Kelly coming back for a second season. He's leading up in big shoes with his uncle, who is a Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback. I think it's pretty hard to stop Chad in his senior season. I have to take UCLA as well. I feel like the Texas A&M Aggies are not going to pull off after what happened last season. I have to pick the upset and go with USC. USC going in ranked number 23 in the nation. You never know. Alabama could have Alabama has never won the national championship when preseason ranked number one.
National championship. This is the first game of the season.
They've never made it to the national championship while ranked number one coming into the season.
Okay, so
I have to take LSU with Leonard Fournette as a Heisman contender. I have to pick Clemson as well with Deshaun Watson in that offense and Dabo Swinney having a draw-even record against the SEC. I think they're going to pull this one out. Even though I came out with a win, my best player sat on my bench in Larry Fitzgerald, who was out all week on concussion protocol and was predicted not to play, but decided to play and have 20 points while sitting on his bench. Even though I came out with a win, my best player sat on my bench in Larry Fitzgerald, who was out all week on concussion protocol and was predicted not to play, but decided to play and have 20 points while sitting on his bench. I have to take Buffalo with the family from Buffalo and knowing Ralph Wilson Stadium, the new era field. I believe the Bills will win. They'll come out on top. Ryan Fitzpatrick, former Bills quarterback, is 1-8 when facing Rex Ryan as a head coach. And playing with the 12th man and having Bruce Smith's number retired tonight in the stadium, it's always an electric atmosphere on a Thursday night or any night game in Buffalo. I'm going to have to pick Florida State as well. What they did in the first 2 weeks, especially in the second half against Ole Miss, they were able to show how well they can play against any team in the SEC or any team in the college football right now. So I'm picking the Seminoles. I have to go with Alabama. What they've done in the start of college football, especially taking down a ranked team in USC in week 1, I think they're going to roll over the Rebels. I'm going to have to go with Notre Dame. Notre Dame looks pretty good this season so far, and even though they lost week 1 against Texas, I think they'll come back strong against another ranked opponent in Michigan State. I have to agree with JJ. Christian McCaffrey looks like a great
Heisman candidate at this point in the season. I'm going to go with Stanford.
Hey, I'm going for the underdog for this.
I have to disagree with JJ and go with Erica. I think Texas A&M looks too good in the first 2 games of the season. And although Auburn started their offense pretty well, I just think Sean White and the offense doesn't have what it takes against Texas A&M.
There's just one of the main players on my team that has to step it up and get back in his groove is Aaron Rodgers, and he needs to be my biggest key player. He's been not his best recently, and he needs to step it up as well as the Bills' defense. They've been playing amazing, and if they can keep it up and possibly get the Bills into the top wild card spot, because who's going to beat the Patriots, then my team might actually have a chance at coming back after last week. Yeah, my team, they need to step it up. They need to stop getting injured, like Jordan Reed and Sammy Watkins, who's on IR, and Sammy Coates, and pretty much everybody else. So hopefully my backups that I picked up can actually play unlike the backups did last week. I'm going with the Packers. I think both teams are in a really hard spot, but I think the Packers defense has the edge over the Bears. And if Aaron Rodgers can play like Aaron Rodgers can, they're going to beat the Bears because the Bears simply just don't have a quarterback situation that they can play in right now. I'm actually going to have to go the opposite way. I'm going to have to go with Virginia Tech. Playing in Virginia Tech is one of the hardest places to play. And Miami's coming off of 2 losses to North Carolina and Florida State, where Virginia Tech is coming off of a loss to Syracuse. So Virginia Tech has a lot more to claim back on their talk to possibly get a bowl game than Miami does. I'm going with West Virginia. They are the surprise team of the season. I mean, I have friends from home calling me saying, hey, why aren't SEC teams ranked? Wait, West Virginia is. So playing in West Virginia is hard. TCU struggled. It's just West Virginia. I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been up and down all season, but I think Oklahoma can pull it out. I mean, they pulled out the Red River rivalry in Dallas, so I think Oklahoma's going to win this one. I mean, this is a really close game. Ole Miss tore apart LSU's defense last year, so Chad Kelly has an edge on them, but LSU has their number. It's going to be a really close game, but I'm going to have to go with LSU. I'm going to have to disagree, go out on a limb, because Texas A&M, Trevor McKnight's the last quarterback to have beaten Nick Saban. So, well, maybe not the last, but they lost in the Cotton Bowl to Trevor McKnight last. So if a quarterback can do it, he's the one who can. And with Alabama's defense, they're going to have to count on turnovers, and he just hasn't been turning over the ball that much. So give me A&M. Well, I'm going to have to say I'm going with Auburn. Auburn's offense has finally been clicking. Sean White's been playing really well, and Arkansas just doesn't have that much yet to really be considered a top, tough SEC team. So give me the Tigers in this one.
I'm going to have